Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Today's topic is the same. That is chapter number 1, need assessment. Yes, now listen carefully. Today's topic is various steps or stages that is available for the need assessment. That may include the planning. That may include the data collection. So let's begin with the stage number 1, step number 1. For the planning part. So these 7 stages that arrives or that occurs under the planning phase. Then data collection, there are 3 stages, stage 8, 9 and 10, that is step 8, 9 and 10. And for next 3 stages, next 3 steps, that is a part of the data analysis, data reporting and the priority settings. So let's begin with the first part, that is the planning. Let's start with the first, that is step number 1. So where is Joseph? So we should wait. Okay. So let's again start with the session. First part is the planning. So step number 1 is set the focus, define the issues and identify the stakeholders. So there are 3 parts in this. First of all, set the focus. What is the main aim? Why we are using, or what is the main aim of the assessment? Why we are using the assessment? Then define the issues. If there is any issues, if there is any hurdles, then define that and identify the stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders who is going to use, or who are the stakeholders who is involved in the business, who is involved in the organizations. So it is probably safe to assume that the desire to conduct a need assessment did not fail out of the sky. Specific areas of the interest may have been selected based on the expectations and also needs are delineated in the agency strategy or the management plan. And there is a research conducted by NOAA scientists may prompt targeting a specific issue, whatever the specific issue on an education policy or priority that might be taken out. And the comments are also collected over time from the facility users, and the program participant may have the project planning in their particular direction. That means plan out everything. What are the focus? What are the various aims? How you can define the issues, how you can get the issues, and also identify the stakeholder. Sometime in the general trends, environmental phenomenon, or the public policy priorities such as the climate change or the implementation of the No Child Left Behind Act, we also suggested that educational need exists. So there is a need of the education that exists over here. That is step number 1. Then in this step, those who are initiating the need assessment specify the scope of the social, economic or the environmental, that is SEE, that address the same what is and what would be or what will be. That is what is going on, that is the current scenario, and what would be. And these issues should flow directly from the agency mission and the program priorities, and whatever the program priority, whatever the determination of the extent of the problem or the issue, that also provides purpose and establish a direction for the need assessment. That means what is the main need, or in which direction we are going to use for the need assessment. And there's agency documents, reports from the previous education projects, census stats, and research results can also help in defining the scope of the problems or issues. And once everything is okay, that means once overall purpose is defined, established, the key stakeholders, the range of the individual, that also includes the audience, potential partners, decision makers, and the sponsors with the vested interest in the issue or process are identified. So whatever the potential partner, whatever the decision maker, whatever the vested interest that is in the issue or the process are identified, are determined, and the permission to conduct the need assessment is secured. And the decision maker who received whatever the input, that may be a good, that may be a bad, that may be a positive feedback, negative feedback, so that will get the result of the need assessment that are also identified. Then step number 2 is establish the planning team. So step number 1, set the focus, refine the issues and identify the stakeholders. Step number 2 is establish the planning team. That means what is the main team that going to plan out, that is going to use. So a basic principle behind conducting a need assessment is recognizing that no matter how the knowledgeable and the skilled, an education coordinator does not and cannot walk into the project with a complete scenario, with a complete and the accurate picture of the conditions. other agency staff members. That may be a community member, that may be a volunteer, that may be a partners. Each and every or all stakeholders in the process to process critical understanding that will also help whatever the focus or whatever the needs assessment. And some of these stakeholders may also help to build inside and outside the agency and also assist the team in gaining whatever the access to the target audience. That means whatever the suitable audience, whatever the requirement that is given to the suitable audience, that is also getting out for the planning team. And forming a broad yet manageable planning team is also essential. So whenever it is carried out forming a broad area yet manageable, so planning team is also essential in this. And because many planning team members will be from outside the agency and will be serving as a volunteers, expectations and the responsibility should be established early on. That means they should be established on the early on methodologies, and it should be recognized that a number of the planning team members were invited to participate because they represent the specific stakeholder group. That means they represent whatever the specific stakeholder group that is available in the stakeholder, that is available in the planning team member that are invited to participate. And they also bring a different set of the assumptions and the priorities, whatever the assumptions, priority that is set for the planning team. In the same way, there is agency participation and the sponsorship that is also required by the internal and the external motivation. So that is required by the internal people also as well as the external people also. Now, why we bother with the stakeholder? What is the importance of the stakeholder? So they are the persons that is well educated, that is well known for the organizations, and the overlooked stakeholder was the office director, whatever the office director, that the program that run into the real problem and the office director revealed concern over the focus of the program. For example, when you talk about the CTP, that is the Coastal Training Program Coordinator, that also doing the research survey in the Washington. Yeah, stakeholder input is very much vital. We can it's their input, whatever the input they are given, their input is very much vital and therefore more formalized. That means yeah, yeah, these are the persons. Yeah, Joseph, I agree with your point, but main thing is that their input, whatever the input, we can say whatever their requirements that are very vital, that are very important for making the organization as a comfortable organization, for making the project as a proper planning project. So two steps are over. First one is set the focus, define the issues, and identify the stakeholders. Next one is establish the planning team. What is over the planning team that is required for this? Then third one is draft a plan for carrying out the need assessment. We set the focus, planning team is also established. Now, draft a plan. That means a rough sketch of the plan, what we are going to do. Only draft, not implement. There's a difference between the drafting and the implementations. So draft a plan for carrying out the need assessment. So as with any other project, the planning of a need assessment can also be spin out of the control and the desire to be inclusive. That means both in the terms of the issues and the audience that can also become the overlapping. And the primary focus of the need assessment is to help the education coordinator. Primary purpose in the sense primary mode of the need assessment. What is the primary thing of the need assessment that is used with the focus of the planning, that is how the need assessment will be carried out, that should be developed. And the planning team must also determine the scope, whatever the scope that is required. And the team also determines the type, breadth, and depth of the information. What is the type of the information? How it is generated, from where it comes, who are the persons who is involved in this one, that is everything about the information. That is type, breadth, depth of the information that uses a need assessment that should be designed together. And there is a plan that should be clear and the concise or the precise enough to guide further development and the implementation. So plan also must ensure or they also give the clear picture, that is how it is developed, what is the guidance for the further improvement and the further implementation of the need assessment. That also specifies what data are to be collected, what are the various data that is to be collected, and identify what should be regarded or who should be targeted. That means the same, who are the persons involved in the assessment. But the main thing is that a good plan must be there with the timelining. Timelining in the sense the closing budget or the closing time or the closing date. That a timeline for the date collection as well as a budget for carrying out the need assessment. This line is very important, that whenever we are talking about a good plan, that also include a timeline for the data collection as well as a budget. So time constraint is very important as well as the budget constraint is very important for carrying out the need assessment. Time budget in the sense within the time this project has to be over. Then budget in the sense whatever the revenue that we have, whatever the target we have for making the project, for making the any education project or system, that must be limited to that budget only. That is not beyond that budget, that is not beyond that amount. And keeping in mind that the planning team must balance the need to focus the need assessment with the desire to remain flexible and open to the new information. That is what is the need that is desired to remain flexible and also open in the new information. The next step number 4, use a TOP model, a total of product model, to direct the data collection efforts. Whatever the data collection efforts, they use the top model. So with the scope of the need assessment that is established, whatever the planning out phase, whatever the planning team, whatever the focus, everything that is done. So with the scope of the need assessment established, the planning committee turns attention to the next phase, that is what is the main phase, or what's the main attention to the top model. And the data collection for the need assessment occurs at three levels of the top management staircase. First one is comparing the desired or the invested or the SEE, that is social, economic, and the environmental conditions. So whenever we compare the desired solutions, whenever we compare the desired conditions with the current or the baseline condition that establish the need or the issues. Similarly, comparing the desired and the baseline practices or the behaviors that also give rise to the condition and the knowledge, attitude, skills, and the aspiration, that is the CASA, that also informs the people behavior that is held or that is used to identify the project needs. And if there is any discrepancy or the gap between the desired and the baseline conditions, is where the project ideas stem from. So what are the project ideas, where it come from, what is the main target for the project ideas. And if possible, the baseline data should also be gathered. Baseline data in the sense, whatever the external resources data, whatever the external sources that is used with the data gathering techniques such as program baseline assessment, literature review, project document, and the performance measure that is also assessed, that is also used. And there's a lack of the progress in meeting a performance measure that also be relevant in establishing future priorities. And if it is valid and reliable, that also already exists for a particular aspect of the need assessment. That may not take sense to spend the valuable resources to collect the new data. On the one hand, if the existing data sources are not available, this is one of the cases that if the existing data sources are not available, then the chances are the project that will best served by collecting the data, whatever the data that is collected from a range of stakeholders. So this is the top model to collect the data for a need assessment. First one is a project development that includes the social, economic, and the environmental conditions. How do the current social, economic, and the environmental conditions are used, environmental conditions are carried out, or compared to these or to the desired conditions, then practices and the behavior. So first one is social, economic, and the environmental condition. Second step is practices and the behaviors. What practices or what behaviors we are using, you must be adopted to have an adverse SEE conditions. And how do the desired practice compare with the current practices? What are the various current practices? What are the various correct scenarios that is used with the current practices? So first one is social, economic, and the environmental conditions. Second one is practices and the behavior. Third is knowledge, attitude, skill, and the aspiration. What are the various or what are their person's knowledge, attitude, skills, and their aspirations. That is known as the CASA, or what are the ways CASA levels are needed to change with the practice. That means, for example, we are running for with the designing phase, what CASA requirements or what CASA will be used, or what level of the CASA will be used in that phase, that is the designing phase. In the same way, there is a different CASA that is used for the implementation phase, and everything that is different from different. So what CASA levels are needed to change practices, how to decide CASA levels compared with the current CASA levels. So whatever the CASA level that is used, how to compare that, or how they are compared with each other. Yes, Joseph, any doubts? Hello, are you able to hear me, Joseph? Any doubts so far? So this is the top model for the CASA for the need assessment. Now next one, step number 5 is gauge the likelihood of the project success. That means we have to metric or we have to measure the likelihood of the project success through the opportunity assessment. And so while the need assessment helps identify and determine the scope of the specific conditions of the issues. Joseph, you want a reply for the mail. You want I think help on the assignment, right? This is a mail. You want a office solution development assignment, right? Mhm. What is the problem in this one? You have a problem in the tasks 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that is very simple. And this you have to discuss how the application software can help for the business requirement and which application software that you are using. For example, if you are using the MS Word, how it is used. If you are using the MS Excel, how it is used and how it is beneficial for the business requirements. That may be for the decision making, that may be for the problem solving, anything. This is clear to you. How do you write this? Are you able to hear me, Joseph, first of all? You are not able to see my screen. Now it's visible. So this is the task number 6, task number 3. You have problem in task number 3, 4 and 5, right? 3, 4, 6 and 7. So sorry. So what is the problem? Task number 3 is very simple. You have to discuss how the application software. For example, if you have a business, as per the scenario, what is the business that is saying about? This is for the flying fishes, that is swimming center that is used for this. So you have to suggest which application software. That may be a Word, that may be Excel, that may be PowerPoint, that may be Access. So which application software can be used as per the business requirement, as per the scenario that is given over here. And what are the user's requirement? That is what the user needs or what the user require for this one. That means a clarity, help, accessibility, how the user use the Excel, Word, whatever the application software that you choose for, yeah, for the given scenario. What about the task number 4? First of all, task number 3 is clear to you? Give a reply, Joseph. Class is going on. Now you're comfortable with the task number 3? Then there is the task number 4, that design a suitable solution to address a business or the user need while upgrading the software at the swimming center. So you have to design a solution. How or what kind of solution that you address, what kind of material that you can use for a business or the user need while upgrading the software at the swimming center. Upgrading the software in the sense, if there's a requirement for the, nowadays if there's a requirement for the PHP or the Java. First of all, we are using the C or the C++. So how you can upgrade the software, how you can adopt the new technology at the swimming center. You have to write the solution, design a solution in terms of the flow chart, in terms of the diagrams. The next is task number 6. Suggest the method to test a solution against the expected result with the desired screenshot. Yes, the task you have done, the software you choose, the application software you choose. Now, if they or these application software or the application software that you are taking out, you are choosing out, that is suitable as per the requirements of the user, that is suitable at the swimming center or not. So you have to suggest the methods to test the solution. What are the various testing techniques that is used? How you can test that method against the expected results with the desired outcomes. Then next is task number 7. Discuss the way in which the end user engagement has taken place. That means what is the role of the user that has taken place through the meeting, questionnaires, interviews to improve their business process. So what is the meaning? Yeah, task number 4 is very simple. That is how to design a suitable solution to address a business or the user need. That means what are the various solutions that is available for a business. No, you have to design a solution in terms of the PowerPoint, in terms of the screenshot, in terms of the application. It's up to you. The main thing is that you have to upgrade the technology from the previous to the next one. This is clear to you? And yeah, and task number 6 is what are the various methods that you can use to test a solution. That method may be a various testing techniques, that method may be a various flowchart, diagram, whatever you use to test a solution against the expected results. Expected results means whatever the result that you need. That means the requirements of the users are fulfilled with the fully satisfaction. Any other doubt, Joseph? Or shall we move to the shall we move to the main course? Is that okay, Joseph? Next part of that is stage number 5 is you have to judge the likelihood of the project success. What is the project success likelihood? Through opportunity assessment. Opportunity assessment in the sense, what are the various opportunity assessment? What are the various ways by which the opportunity assessment will be used? So while the need assessment helps to identify and determine the scope of the specific conditions of the issues, opportunity assessment also uses the probability that an agency can overlay the issues that can also raise the issue, that is identify the SWE practices and the CASA levels. And the opportunity assessment also occurs at the low level or the lower four levels of the top model project development staircase. That may be a reactions, that may be a participation, that may be a activities, that may be a resources. And whatever the actions, whatever the activities, whatever the resources that is used, that opportunity cost may be available or may be used. That opportunity assessment also enables an organization or the agency to assess the likelihood of the project success. What is the project success, how it is used, and why it is used with the SW opportunities. And there is opportunity assessment that is also available, that is also used with the opportunity course that will be required for the audience, that will be used for the CASA practice and SWE resources. And this is very good time to ensure to inventory existing program and resources that also relate to the topic or the issue under the consideration. Under the various topic or the issue that is used under the consideration for the program and the resources. And other agencies or the organization may also or may have already developed an education project that can be adopted or the adapted. So there are two parts in this. One is adapted, one is adopted. For example, when you talk about the monitoring protocols and the support material that already exists for a number of the citizen scientist initiative around the nation, even if the exact procedure cannot be known, cannot be used, that can also be used with the new situations, with the new learners from the material that others have designed and implemented. And on the same way, existing literature can also often provides the important information on the how to work, how to mold, how to judge with the particular audience with a particular scenario, so that we often provide the important information on how to work with a particular audience to ensure that a project is age appropriate. Project is age appropriate means project is limited to the particular deadline, particular date that we are given, and the time spent researching may also well have considerable time and the effort at a later stage in the project planning process. And this is the model that is defined for the project development. First is the reactions. How is the intended audience reaction that is likely to react to the program activities? What kind of promotional strategies are needed to attract the target audience? That is, what kind of promotional strategies, in the sense, what kind of strategies, what kind of rules, regulation that are needed to attract the target audience? Then, who are the intended program participants? So, who is involved in the program, or who is involved in this program, that is, who are the intended program participants? What is their current involvement with the issues compared to the desired involvement? So first of all, who are the participants over here, and what is their current involvement, how they are involved in this one with the issues, that is compared with the current involvement with this compared with the desired involvement, and what activities are currently available to the audience. What activities, in the sense, what features, what activities that will be considered, that will be comparable with what is needed, and how do these activities compare with what is needed. So how do these activities are compared with what is required, what is needed, and what delivery methods are currently used to convey content? What are the various methods that is used to convey the content, and what methods are desirable, what methods are used with the these contents? That are the part of the activities. So one is a reaction, that is, what is a reaction when we use with the program activities. Then participation, how the many people are involved in this one. Then activities, what are the various activities that is performed, that are currently available with the scenario, that are currently available, or that are currently acceptable, what is needed. Then resources, what resources are required or needed to support the activities? That may be a staff, that may be a time, that may be expertise, that may be a money. And what resources are currently available? So this is what is and what would be the same that we have studied in the first class of this module, that is what is required and what would be the scenario. So what resources, that may be a time, that may be a staff, that may be expertise, money, are needed to support the activities. And what resources are currently available? So there's a difference between what is and what would be. The next stage is step number 6. Define the participant in the assessment. Who are the participant that is involved in this? So define the participant. Who are the participant that is available in the need assessment? Who are involved in the need assessment, and what's their contribution in the need assessment? So define the participants in the need assessment that is available in the need assessment. So that is identified by the stakeholders that is inside and outside the agency, and many of these stakeholders are also invited to participate in the planning team, as they are going to plan for this one, that they are going to plan for the need assessment that has been developed. And it is a time to revisit and refine the list of the stakeholders and the potential participant groups. And depending on the purpose of the need assessment, the list of the key stakeholders may also be expanded or reduced, and the decisions must be made about whom should be targeted for the participant in the need assessment. What type of data is need to be collected and from whom? For example, if the need assessment relate to the development of a citizen science project, data collection might target the multiple groups. That also includes the NOA scientists involved in the research on the topic. That may be a supervisor, student involvement, community service organization that could sponsor the team of the monitor, or the state or the local government agency that might provide the monitoring sites. And it also reasonable to assume that the data will be collected from the groups whose characteristics are known by the planning teams. And last step is design the data collection strategies. Because after these 7 steps, there is a next topic. After the planning, we can say there's the next step is data collection. So we have to plan out, we have to redesign the data collection strategies. So if I see this data collection strategies, and the next part is the data collection. So we have to make the strategies for this. We have to make the strategies how it is used and how it is developed for the each participant group that delineates the information that is to be gathered at each level of the top programming staircase. And from here, that is from the out of the available resources, out of the available programming and data collection method, we have to choose one of the data collection method that are identified. And this process also matches the participants group with the key questions and appropriate instrument, whatever the appropriate instrument that is used, and while keeping the budget, personnel, and the time constraint in mind. So this is one of the important point is that the main thing that is kept in mind is that the budget, the personnel, and the time constraint. And the planning team must also determine the best data collection method out of the given specified methods. And one more important thing, that one important note is that no one data collection method fits all the situations. Why? Because every method have some weakness, have some strengths. So we have to rectify, we have to use different methods on different scenarios, how it is used, when it is used, and why it is used. Now, before moving to the next stage in the need assessment process, the project should assess whether it is approval or needed or desired. That means whether it is approved, that yeah, it is okay to calculate, or it is okay for the data collections. So we have to assess whether the approvals are needed or desired because of the paperwork reduction act regulations. And whenever we collect the data, often takes the project public and also requires a new commitment of the funds and other resources. Whatever the new collection project, whatever the regulations, whatever the criteria that is using, they are able to collect the data. Now, next one is the data collection that I'm going to start with in the next class, that is in the Monday's class. That is after the planning. First part is over. First stage, we can say first stage of need assessment is over. That is the planning. Next stage is data collection. That is a step number that includes a step number 8. How we can collect the data. That is data collection. That I'm going to start within the next class, Monday's class. Till now, any doubts? Any doubt regarding the assignments? Any module? This module? Anything? Any doubts? And please kept in mind that this is the last module of this Edexcel, and please do the assignments on time so that we will finish this course by time. Basically the deadline is September end, but that is extendable to I think 15th or 16th of October. But please, yes, please submit the assignments.